Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Montville Board of Education to order, June 16th, 2020. Roll call, please, Mrs. Slunk.
Dr. Cordolino?
Here.
Mr. Daughtry?
Here.
Mrs. Fano?
Here.
Dr. Modrak?
Here.
Mr. O'Brien?
Mike's muted.
Go.
Got him? Yeah.
Mr. Rappaport?
Here.
Ms. Zuckerman?
Here.
Mr. Palma?
Here.
Mr. Grau?
Here.
Mr. Arena? Mr. Gudamella?
All right, if everyone could please rise for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Slunk, the Sunshine Law, please.
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provision of the Act, the Montville Township Board of Education provided a notice of this meeting, which included the time, date, and location that was posted at the Montville Township Municipal Building, all Montville Public Schools, the Montville Public Library, the Montville Township Board of Education Administrative Office Building, the district website, and advertised in the Daily Record, the board's official newspaper, on January 10th, 2020.
Thank you. We don't have any student representatives in attendance, do we?
No.
Okay, so what we'll do, like we've done with the last several meetings, we'll change the agenda around a little, and we'll start off with a brief update on graduation, which is coming up in 7 days. And right now, I'll turn it over. We have Dr. Rovtar and we have Mr. Sanford. I know Mr. Sanford has been in touch with the students and the parents. And Renee, do you have anything to add before we ask Mr. Sanford to give us an update?
Yes. I first of all wanted to thank the MTEA, the Montville Township Education Association, for giving us banners, congratulatory banners for each of the 7 schools. They arranged this through grant funding through NJEA, and the banners are delightful, and they were put up last week. I know a lot of folks have come down to take their graduates' pictures alongside the banners, but we thank them very much for that very sweet gesture to honor our graduates at the 5th grade, the 8th grade, and the 12th grade level. Mr. Stanford can certainly speak to this a little bit more. I know he did send out an update today to the parents and students, members of the class of 2020. I know the board members have received some emails from parents opposing the drive-through graduation. I just want to, again, echo what Mr. Sanford had indicated in terms of the rationale for that drive-through ceremony. You know, based on some survey data that we had collected, there are a number of members of the class who have indicated that for their own health reasons or for non-specified reasons, that they would be unable to attend an in-person graduation ceremony if it were to occur after June 23rd. So this drive-through graduation ceremony provides those students the opportunity to participate in a graduation ceremony, walk across the stage, receive their diploma, It also provides an opportunity for all parents to actually see their students receive their diplomas in person. Right now, the governor has indicated that he expects that the outdoor gathering number will rise to 500 on July 3rd. He expects that to happen. There is no guarantee that that will happen, so we do feel very strongly that the drive-through graduation, may be an opportunity that may not occur if things don't move according to what the governor has already planned. So, we do feel that there is tremendous value in having that drive-through ceremony. And with that being said, I will turn things over to Mr. Sanford for any comments or clarification that he would want to make with regard to those graduation activities that are planned.
First, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Good evening, Board of Education, members of the public who are in attendance. Thank you, Dr. Rovtar. So it's June 11th, I believe it was Thursday, June 11th. An update went out to families, giving a pretty detailed description of essentially the three-pronged approach that we're taking to recognizing the class of 2020. The drive-through ceremony on the day of June 23rd, capped off with the airing of the virtual graduation on the evening of the 23rd, and then tentatively waiting for written guidance to come out from the governor, the outdoor in-person student-only ceremony on the 6th. The one piece of information that went out today, we originally publicized the rain date of that outdoor ceremony as July 8th. However, as we have continued with the planning of that event, we officially announced today the rain date needed to be pushed back to July 9th. So tentatively, we are planning an outdoor in-person student-only ceremony for the 6th with a rain date of July 9th. That was because of the availability of different vendors that support the event. Keep in mind, normally high school graduations happen across the month of June in the state of New Jersey. With the tentative information released by the governor, every high school across the state is scrambling for the handful of vendors to help them facilitate their graduation during the week of the 6th. So that's why we had to make that adjustment. The rationale that was sent out today tried to explain, most importantly, the justification for why we continue to pursue June 23rd as an option, or why we continue to pursue the drive-through graduation ceremony on June 23rd. Dr. Rovtar made some great points, so I'm really just reiterating some things that she said. The notion that this is, for some families, the only opportunity to participate in a live graduation ceremony, number one. Number two, because of the, based on student choice, we opted for a student-only ceremony on the 6th. For all families, it's the opportunity for mom, dad, brother, sister, extended family member, who's ever in the vehicle that day, to witness their child in person walk across the stage and receive their diploma. I guess the biggest thing I wanted to articulate, and it went out today in the video update that was communicated today, is that I think that there exists in the community the perception that the event on the 23rd and the event on the 6th are duplicates of each other. And I personally view them as standalone events that don't have an impact on each other. So the notion that somehow a student or family's participation in the 23rd would take away from or diminish the experience they have on the 6th or vice versa. We're trying to impart information to people to hopefully adjust that perception, to recognize that, these are two different ways to recognize the students. What's on the 23rd is graduation. It's the receipt of the diploma. It's the opportunity for the family to witness their child's, in this once in a lifetime experience. What happens on the 6th is, based on the student feedback, the opportunity for the class to be together in there as close as we can get to a traditional graduation ceremony, and that's how it ended up becoming student only. So that was really the crux of the information that's gone out last week and this week. A couple of additional details I'll add in. We're going to be live streaming both events, both what happens on the 23rd as well as what happens on the 6th. The specific details on how to access that live stream will come out later this week or on Monday of next week. And assuming everything goes according to plan for the 6th, that information will come out in the days preceding that event. Professional photography will take place on the 23rd, both on the stage, and right now we anticipate also having the professional photographer available at Lazar, and we'll solidify those details and get that communication out late this week or early next. And again, professional photography will be available on the 6th, if that goes according to plan, with gathering size being increased. I think that's about it. Dr. Rocha, you think I'm leaving anything out?
No, I think you covered it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Thank
You're
you
welcome,
very
sir.
much. On behalf of the board, I would like to thank you and the whole administrative team at the high school and Dr. Rovtar with her involvement on all the work that you have accomplished, looking at many, many different options that were placed, looking at different scenarios, and I'd like to thank you and your effort for what you've come up with. As has been the case, we will now open it up for some questions, and as we would do questions for a while, and then we might have to take a break and do the agenda, but let's try some questions at the present time, and please keep these strictly to graduation, nothing else at this time. So I'm going to ask Dr. Rovtar. I think she's the one who handles the phone calls, or somebody in the main office there. So
Yeah.
why don't you guys
All right,
get started?
let me just indicate that this meeting is being conducted over a Zoom webinar. If you are joining us on YouTube and you would like to speak during this public comment portion of the meeting, please follow the directions in the video description for how to join us in the Zoom webinar. If you are in the Zoom webinar and you would like to speak, please press the raise your hand button, and that will allow us to see that you would like to speak, and then I can recognize you. So I will first turn the floor over to Francine Dunn. You may speak.
Hello, Francine.
Ms. Dunn?
She's on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. Can you hear me now? So thank you for allowing me to speak. So my daughter, Nicole, is a graduate for this year. And I've got a couple of possibly questions, concerns, and I guess my first question is, I understand that the student council wrote a letter asking to the board to change how the 23rd was being handled, possibly a clap out, and then make the official date July 6th, the graduation.
I can tell you, Mrs. Dunn, that the board did receive that letter.
Okay, so I guess, and then also one of the other things that you mentioned was the survey. So what I understand the survey to be, 80% of the seniors wanted an in-person graduation. So really a very small percentage was agreeable to the drive-through if they could have it in person. So is there a reason why we couldn't just make the 23rd like a clap out type of thing like the students wanted, and then really leave the ceremony for July 6th? I mean, this is something that the students want.
Right. As we noted, there were at least 25 students who in that survey indicated that they would not be able to participate in an in-person ceremony.
So, but I understand that, but so those 25, maybe on June 23rd, you can recognize those students, but the rest of the student body wanted to have an in-person graduation. So you're telling me that you're going to change the entire process for those 25 and ignore the rest of the student body? Yeah. That's just
well, I think Mrs. Dunn, we also need to note, as Mr. Sanford and I just mentioned, that as of June 23rd, we are still not going to have confirmation from the governor that we are able to have an in-person graduation ceremony with 500 participants. So if we move beyond June 23rd, we totally missed that opportunity to have that drive-through ceremony.
Yeah, see, I'm not really sure I agree with that because, I mean, if you look all over the country right now, there's protests going on. The governor's not doing anything about it. Neither is the president. There's a lot more people. I mean, quite honestly, I think that we could social distance on our football field, right? We could make a plan to make this happen. We could have, maybe all the parents sign some type of a release form, like currently when you walk into places and stores. So I think that, some of it, yeah, we can use the governor as an excuse, but I think that really we, the people of the town, the people that have been here for all these years, supporting, waiting for our students to get to this important monument in their life. I think it's an important time for us to recognize that maybe we just don't listen to the governor. Maybe we make those decisions. You were just telling me that you're going to make a decision based on 25 students, right?
Yeah.
I cannot recommend to this Board of Education that we plan a ceremony that falls outside of the legal parameters, the executive orders that have been issued. I cannot recommend such a ceremony.
Well, can you just do the students? I mean, that's what the students wanted, right? And then what you could do is possibly, just live stream for the parents to watch it. I mean, it's really about the students. Obviously, me as a parent, I mean, I've been waiting a long time to see this. It's heartbreaking that my son actually graduated from Montville High School. He's 27 now. It's been a blessing to us. I mean, I love the school. I love the district. This has been unfortunate, these circumstances. But I do believe that, we need to listen to the entire student body.
Ms. Fran, I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up because I know we have a lot of other parents that want to speak. I think we get the gist of what you're saying. We received the email. The email has been passed on to Mr. Sanford and Dr. Rovtar, but if you heard her said, she cannot recommend anything that is a violation of the law. The administration has spent quite a bit of time on doing this. Surveys were taken, and I'm sure they will look at what you presented, but we know what you're saying, so let's give someone else a chance to speak at this time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening, and I truly appreciate that. Thank you.
Mrs. Gilmore. Mrs. Gilmore, you have the floor. Mrs. Gilmore? Mrs. Gilmore, I have recognized you.
Let's move on, Dr.
Okay,
Rovtar.
I'm going to move on next to Fran Reinstein.
Hi, how are you?
Hello?
We can hear you.
Sorry.
Oh, all right. I'm sorry. Who do you have, Reinstein?
Yeah.
Fran, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to thank the board and the administrators because I know that this is a very difficult situation for our kids. I basically have two questions. We still haven't really dealt with the money allocation that the seniors have raised. It's really not being used for anything right now. And I know that you guys were, not you, but the school was asking for donations of water and snacks, and we're paying a DJ, and the seniors have really gotten nothing as far as a breakfast or a picnic. And I was just surprised that money wasn't being allocated toward any special stuff at the.
Can we just stay with the graduation now, please, as I mentioned
Well, this
before?
is part of the graduation, actually. Because parents are concerned that they're being asked to actually donate stuff for the graduation when there's money there that could be used toward that stuff. So this is about the graduation, actually.
I can have Mr. Sanford respond to that. I can tell you that the class officers have allocated that money to several different things. Mr. Sanford, I don't know if you want to add any additional clarification to that.
Yeah, I'm happy to chime in here. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. So in working with the class officers, the senior class officers, I'm not going to give the dollar amounts specifically, but basically the way the money was allocated is going to be parceled out in 4 different ways as of right now. One is, I'll be honest, I lose track of which forums I've mentioned this in, but we have partnered with a nonprofit organization to host a celebratory event, a prom-like event for the class of 2020 at some point beyond June 23rd. The class officers are aware of more intimate details about this, so they're allocating roughly 3/5 or 60% of their senior class account to that organization to subsidize the cost of running that event. The senior class officers are allocating about, I'd say about 10% of the funds in the account to COVID recovery, COVID-19 relief funds. They identified a specific nonprofit fund that's an offshoot of the United Way that supports COVID-19 relief in the New Jersey area. They're also allocating about 10% of the class account to a senior class gift, which is a combination of a class of 2020 bench, commemorative tree and plaque to be placed on the front steps where the other class benches are set up, and then another 10% to be allocated, or basically to be held on to until the very last moment of the school year, to maintain some flexibility in case additional costs arise. I realize I just said 60, 10, 10, 10. Pardon the rough math there. Basically it's 60% and then the 40%, so say 13% each for those 3 different things. So I hope that explains where the funds are allocated to right now.
Okay. I just have another question regarding graduation.
All right, one last question, then we got to move on, all right? Give
Yep,
someone else
sure.
a chance.
So since the parents, it doesn't seem like are going to be able to go to the graduation on the 6th and take pictures of their kids getting diplomas, since we are allowed to gather in groups of 50 or 100 now, I lost track of what it is. Can the parents actually get out of their car when their one child is going up to the stage and take one picture? I don't understand
No,
that can't happen.
Well, the reason that can happen is that this is a very choreographed, logistically specific event, and we have it timed so that we do not have the luxury of having folks get out of their car at the high school. That is why we have made arrangements for photo opportunities to occur at Lazar while in your staging area. So there will be an opportunity to take pictures at Lazar. Unfortunately, we just don't have the luxury of time to allow people to get out of their cars during the actual drive-through ceremony.
So the kids aren't getting out of the car either? Somebody's just going to hand?
The kids are getting out of the car. The graduates will exit the car. They will walk across the stage. They will receive their diploma. They will pick their diploma up from a table. They will have their picture professionally taken, and they will return to their car. Parents are able to take as many pictures as they can from their car. We just cannot allow you to exit the car.
But if my kid is walking off the stage and the kid has 2 minutes to do that, it would take me less than a minute to go shoot a picture instead of me paying a professional photographer to do the same thing.
Well,
Unfortunately, the parameters for the drive-through ceremony have been given to us by the New Jersey Department of Education, and they very clearly state that in that type of an event, it is just really the graduate who is supposed to get out of the car.
But if you could have 50 people or 100 people gather, that just doesn't make any sense to me.
well,
I'm
please,
sure that anybody who gets out of their car could shoot a quick picture and jump back into their car way before the kid gets back to the car from all of this stuff. I hate to, and I really have tried to understand all of this, but if we can't go to the regular graduation, then I can't see why we can't just jump out of the car quickly, but whatever. It doesn't make sense. The parameters don't make sense in that respect. So just a thought. Okay, you can move on.
thank you. Next,
Okay, I would like to recognize Mrs. Haskell.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm asking to please to realize what's going on with what the students want, not the parents, not the principal, but the students. And there is a letter that they wrote it asking for the change. Why you're not taking that into consideration? And can someone read the letter? And if you don't have it with you, I have it.
Mrs. Haskell, the board received that letter at 4:50 p.m. They all have received it, and we are taking that under advisement.
Okay, because I really need this to be addressed because it comes to the point that it's the student counselor. I have a copy of the letter, and I think that that's what they want, and that's what should be done. And I'd rather see my kid getting a diploma on TV than have my kid that wait 12 years to walk and pick up a diploma on the table. That's not right. And it's about the kids. Please consider this. And if we can go in groups, why to go on Friday? Friday, we're going to go to protest.
Yeah.
So how can we not be in person to protest against the government in our kids' graduation?
Exactly.
So you know what? The parents are not happy. Let's protest because we have the right to do it.
Exactly.
So we're in for this. I mean, who's going to stop us? The government, he did himself without masks, without 6 feet distance. So you know what? If you're not going to do the things that the student wants, we're going to protest.
Well, I can't tell you what you can or cannot do, but we have to follow the law, the administration and the Board of Ed. And that's what we've been doing. And I know that some of you may be unhappy, but keep in mind, as you just said, it is for the
Okay,
children.
so let's do this. You follow the law and we protest as parents. We can't tell you what to do and you can't tell us what to do. So if we want to show up in the high school and protest against those rules for this graduation, we have to be allowed to do it. The same ways that we're going to protest for Black Lives Matter, Senior Matter.
Well, I don't want you to leave with the impression that we're telling you to protest or not to. I'm not giving you any advice of what to do. All I'm telling you is
for advice. I'm telling you what we can do.
All I'm saying is the Board of Ed administration have to follow the law, and that comes from the Department of Education and the governor, and that's where it's at. I mean, I hope you can appreciate that.
No, I appreciate that you follow the rules, but also you have to follow what the students want, and nobody's doing what they want to do, and that's very upsetting. Can you please read the letter? Can you consider what they want, not what parents want, not what the Montville High School wants, not what the principal wants? And it's enough of all this. Let's get it done and let's make the student happy. They deserve it. They've been through a lot.
Well, the letter came out at 4:00 to the group. I mean, I think it's important to read it.
Why don't we read the letter? Let's know what they want.
All right.
Mrs. Haskell, it's a very long letter, and the board has received the letter.
Okay, so you don't want to read. So can you please respond to that letter as soon as possible? The students are waiting.
I believe there's plenty of students on this call.
And there's a lot of students on the call too. They want to know what's going on. So please, 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 for the students, not for the parents.
All right. Thank you for your comments. Next.
Mrs. Gilmore? Mrs. Gilmore, you have the floor.
All right, are there any others, Renee? Because
Yes,
I'm
there
gonna
are.
have to go.
There are more. There are more. I don't know why Mrs. Gilmore is not.
Well, I'm gonna take two more, then we're gonna go to the agenda, then we'll come back, okay?
Okay, Mrs. Gabriel. Mrs. Gabriel, you have the floor.
Hi, sorry, I had to unmute you all. Thank you for taking my call. I completely understand that it's not a legal recommendation that you can make to the board, but based on the fact that in the town next to us, the mayor has made a decision to recommend to the board that he was going to take a responsibility. Is that something that's an option in this town, where the mayor could make the decision that, yes, we're going to allow for a graduation?
Are you
May
talking
I?
about, are you talking about Wayne?
Yes.
Well, I don't know if you read the article. I believe the mayor has backed off of that, I believe.
No, I have my neighbors who go to Wayne, like down the shore. I spoke to them today and that's still happening.
Okay, well, that's fine with that, Mayor.
I would just add that the graduation ceremony, and I believe that the township committee commented on this at one of their recent meetings, does not fall within their purview. It is a Board of Education function.
Well, I realize that in normal situations that it is, but because this is such extenuating circumstances, in order to not have the board or the superintendent liable, if the mayor makes a decision based on the town, I mean,
It's not,
go ahead.
it is not legal, it's not legal
May
for
I-
the township to have that. Sure,
Mr.
Steve.
Graham, may I?
Would you respond, Mr. Edelstein?
Yes. The Board of Education is under the jurisdiction of the Department of Education
Right.
and must follow the guidance of the Department of Education. It doesn't matter if people sign releases. It doesn't matter if people sign hold harmless agreements. The board members and the administration will be held accountable by the Department of Education, even if things go perfectly. If they violate their rules, I can't ever recommend to them that they do that.
Okay, so then can you make a recommendation if the board does not take into consideration the
Wait a minute.
students? Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. We're not making recommendations. We're here to listen what you presented, so, and we've heard what you say, so if you'd like to continue about that, great. But we're
Okay.
not making resolutions, what Wayne did or Wayne didn't do.
Okay.
But if
Yes,
you want to talk about the thing
Okay.
itself, please.
Could you just tell me how, because I'm sure there's more than 25 parents that are in a situation where they will not be in attendance on the 23rd because of not being able to be in a car with an ex-spouse. Would you make a recommendation how we can see our child graduate or be there?
I don't understand. You said they're not going to be in the car when the youngster drives up for the diploma?
When you have a divorced couple, I know in my situation, I would not be in the car with my ex-spouse, and that's not because I wouldn't be willing to. Okay, but the situation is such, and there's people who have legal reasons that they are not going to be in a car with their spouse. So how do we allow for that, for both parents to be able to witness their child?
I do not have a suggestion for you. I know that some people maybe are getting limos. Maybe that's an alternative. I don't know. But I think we've agreed, administration, one car, one kid. And that's
Okay.
the way it's set up. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. I'm sorry.
Well, can you please address that when you're taking into consideration how this is going to play out indefinitely? Because it's not just affecting me, it's affecting more than 25 parents. And it's,
Well, I would ask the superintendent and the high school principal to look at that scenario to see if there's an amicable arrangement. I don't know of any myself, but they would be the ones to come up because the graduation falls under the purview of the high school principal. So hopefully you will look at that and see if there's an answer. Okay?
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take one more and then we'll go into the agenda.
Stacy McGrogan? Stacy, it looks like you're muted.
All right. Am I good now?
No,
Yeah.
you are good. We can hear you.
Okay. How are you? I do have a few questions, and just, I guess, the previous speaker, obviously, with the one car, one parent divorce. Like I just feel you're going to make all these accommodations for 25% because they want the drive-through, but like it just seems like you're doing whatever you want, and I'm sorry, but like there has to be accommodations for everybody.
Okay.
And
We said we would give it back to review.
okay, that is good. But also, is there any way to poll the kids again? Because it is about them. And I know they did a poll a while ago, but things have changed since then. And some want the prom, some want different things now. So is there any way, and I know it's a short amount of time, but is there any way to poll them again to see what they want?
I'm not going to speak for the principal, but right now you got 5 days to go before the 23rd, 5 school days. And there's a heck of a lot of planning, even though they've done a heck of a lot of it before. So I'm not going to respond to that, but I know the superintendent and the high school principal are always evaluating, and I'm not saying that they will or they won't, but there's only 5 days to go, and you just don't flip a switch, and this comes on by itself. There's a lot of work that's involved, and there's a lot of work that's set up with the present strategy, the present format. So that's all I can say.
No,
I'm not
I
saying they won't.
completely understand, but it's just, I just feel like 80%, just like you said no to the drive-through. So like, you're gonna do a drive-through for only 25% of the students?
Well, I think Dr. Rovtar gave a lot of other reasons at the beginning of the meeting. We're assuming, for instance, that the 500 is going to come into effect on July 3rd.
Oh,
We're
I
doing a
hope.
lot of other things at the present time. And, you know, we were told a lot of things in the past, which some have come to fruition and some have not. But right now, that's the plan on the deck. Based upon information we got today, I'm sure that the principal will look at that. I don't know. I'm not telling him what to do because that's his job. That's his biggest job. And I think for the last several months, he and his 2 vice principals and other administrators have been doing a great job on it. Are they keeping everybody happy? No. Because when you have 320 kids graduating, there's going to be differences. It's putting this thing together to the best way possible, and I think that's what his charge is, and he's been in touch with the people, and hopefully they will continue to evaluate.
No,
I hate that next Tuesday if it rains all day, because that isn't going to be fun, okay? But be that as it may, we're not, that's the best I can share with you at the present time. We're not directing the principal to go out and do another survey or not to do a survey. This is his bailiwick. He's done a lot of stuff with the senior leadership, with the parent council. And, whatever he comes up with, we know right now, people are not going to be happy. They're not going to be happy whatever he comes up with, no matter what he comes up with.
you can't make everybody happy. I completely
You can't do it. And what he's doing is the best job based upon the information he has with the people he's talked to at the school, including the students, and that's what he's making his recommendation on. Okay?
All right.
I will entertain one more question, and then we're going to the agenda.
All right, I just have one more question, just because there's so much information. Is the July 6th student only a definite thing, or it's not definite yet?
It's as definite as it can be. All of the plans are in place for that to happen. The only thing that we are waiting for is for the governor to raise the limit on social gatherings to 500. Every other aspect of that ceremony has been planned, and we would be ready to go on July 6th. We just need the governor to give us the green light.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know, because that makes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I keep saying this, but one more, then I promise we're going to the agenda.
Okay, I'm going to recognize Mrs. Colatrella. Mrs. Colatrella, you were muted.
Okay, yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk tonight. I really want to address the board because I think that most of our requests for how all of this has played out is being shared with all of you. And I think that the responses have been passed on to Dr. Robitar and Mr. Sanford, which have not necessarily considered any of the requests that have come through from parents and students. So I want to know why we are being told that we are breaking the law if we're just asking for minor modifications, and all we want is that every parent that's on this call tonight, every student that's on this call tonight, all they want is that their real graduation, their substantial graduation will be on July 6th versus July 23rd, versus June 23rd. So I am just really out of words. You're asking us to speak and to communicate at these meetings, but we don't know if we're constantly repeating the same requests. So how are we to walk away from this meeting or from any of the other communications that have come through, satisfied that we've been heard? Not only us, but our children. So I'm addressing the board now, not Dr. Robitar or Mr. Sanford. They've responded to us. They responded to our emails. I want really the board to actually say, what are your thoughts about what's going on in town? If you saw the communication that's on social media about this town and the administration, it's not pretty. And we don't want to show up as a town like that when it's so simple what we're asking. So I think that you should really consider what's being put at play here on all levels for all the students. And we're making plans, just like the other parent has said, for the exceptions, not the majority. And when, I'm sorry, Mr. Gore, when you say Mr. Sanford's not going to make everybody happy, he hasn't made anyone happy. Ask the student body. They are not happy with the plans the way they're playing out. So I can't understand how we sit around the table and we're at this meeting when 3 meetings ago at the board, we actually expressed what we were thinking. And we know there are constrictions, but we're not asking. If you read carefully, the requests that have been made are very simple. We're not asking Sanford to scrap his plans or to change drastically. We are just repurposing all the plans and all the details that have been put in place, and we are appreciative of that. But we can't walk away feeling satisfied that we have been heard when we haven't, and the students have not been heard. I mean, you have the student council really looking at this seriously, calling students that answer that survey, saying that they wouldn't attend. The student council is making their own calls and making sure that the students understood what was being asked. And at the moment, there was no date for an in-person ceremony. So of course the students were, the 25 students, however many, were confused about what they were responding to. And there's only 14 students that can't make it because of medical reason. That's only 7% of the class. What happens to the rest of the class that want an in-person graduation with all the traditional activities? So I'm asking the board, I really would like to hear from the board, what do you think about the situation? Why are we in this predicament? Why are we have so many intelligent people that can reasonably look and see, wait a minute, this town's not happy. The entire student body, the student council represents the student body. They're not happy. How many parents are on this call today? Can someone say how many parents are on this call today?
I can't tell you. We don't know. I mean, we know how many people are we have participants here, but we don't know how many people are watching on YouTube, and I can't tell who's a parent, who's a resident. We don't have that.
Just in general, how many
Can I say something?
I'm just curious, how many participants are on the call?
Right now, we have 24, but
Wait a
that
minute.
does not account the people that are watching on YouTube that are not here to speak.
Okay.
Can I say something?
That is my point, Dr. Wolftar, that there are many of us, many of the parents, this is not coming from Mrs. Colatrella, from Mrs. Gilmore, this is not coming from just a small group of parents. This is the community, our town, our high school, our children. So we want what we're asking. The changes that we're asking are really not unreasonable. We're not asking anybody to break any of the laws. I'm not advocating what the other parents said. Let's do what Wayne says and break the law. We're not doing that. Everything that we are asking for and those students, the student council is asking for are within the guidances that are established today. And so I don't understand why is there this resistance to just roll over whatever we say. That's it. Honestly, I just really want to hear from the board because education is what represents the entire town and the parents, the student, and everyone. So I think I want to hear what some of the board members really think about this.
Can I say something?
Mrs. Colatrello, this is Charlie Grau, the board president, okay? First of all, we as a board, sit as a board, we have administrators whose responsibility is to run the school system. We do not run it, okay? Right now, the running of graduation rests with the high school principal, and he gets assistance from the superintendent. On the agenda tonight, all of those items are recommended by the administration for us to take action on. I have given you have spoken for approximately 10, 12 minutes, which is fine, and you have indicated to us, Mrs. Colatrello, about what you think and how many people you represent, and I'm sure you do, okay? However, we are not here to hold the whole town to see what they would want to do, what they wouldn't want to do. We have answered questions, we have looked at proposals for the last 2 months, Mrs. Colatrello, you know that. The administration has looked at options. We've looked at ones from drive-in theaters. We've looked at all kinds of options. And this is what the administration has come up with. I would rather have an affair on the 23rd of June than something on July 6th, because as a parent, I couldn't get into the July 6th ceremony anyway, even if it was raised to 500. At least now in my car, my daughter or son is getting a diploma. The pictures are being taken. You can take pictures of the kids at Lazar beforehand. To me, that's what I would say. However, I don't have a youngster graduating, so maybe I'm not looking at it as thorough as other people. However, we have looked at every proposal. If we've said no or if some proposal hasn't been considered, right away we're not listening. And I don't think that's fair. We have other people. Let me finish. We have other people who have not spoken, and they have indicated maybe they're happy with it. They haven't spoken against it. This is a very emotional thing. And I think that its purpose is for the parents, no matter what the plan is, to come out and support it, because this is your kids. This is for your kids.
I understand. Can I add something?
With that, pardon?
Can I add something? Yes.
Who is this?
It's Michelle.
Michelle.
Oh, Michelle. I'm sorry, I didn't see your picture. Yeah.
One thing that I think it's important to keep in mind through all this is that it's been mentioned as just a statistic, whether it's 7% or 25 kids, but I don't have a senior, but I do have a junior. But if she were a senior this year, she would not be attending on July 6th because she has medical issues that make her very vulnerable for, if she gets sick. So I would appreciate having the ceremony on the 23rd But I'm having trouble understanding, honestly. And I've seen what the administration has done, and there have been many, many different opinions. Not everybody has the same viewpoint on this. There might be some that more people agree with, some that less agree with. I'm having trouble understanding why having something on the 23rd and the 6th is so objectionable to everybody when it's trying to accommodate all different needs and different opinions. And so when people are, wondering, why do we have to worry about the small percentage of people who won't be able to go on the 6th? That just, I just don't understand why those people are not considered important as well. So.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
So I am not saying that the small percentage of folks of students that can't attend the July 6th ceremony for them to be dismissed. If you read carefully the recommendations that have been laid out by parents, by students, in communication with all of the student council, all of the different student bodies, we have laid out that all of these kids would actually be considered, and they will have their time to receive their diploma on the 23rd. So that wouldn't be dismissed. And there was no way that we would actually say, well, let's just think about the ones that could attend and forget the others. So this tells me that not everyone has seen the recommendations clearly as to what the student council just put forward or the parents have recommended, because there is a plan, and we're not even asking to, again, I'm repeating myself, but we have to look at the slight modifications that we're asking for. And we still appreciate what Mr. Sanford has put forward and all the work that has been done. Absolutely. That's why we're just saying to just repurpose it and not to scrap it completely. Repurpose it to have it be a clap out. And for the students that can join July 6th, they'll receive their diplomas on the 23rd. So it's not unreasonable what we're asking, and it's not a revamping of any of the plans. We just want to make sure that the students get a traditional graduation, as close as possible to a traditional graduation on July 6th. And that's all we're asking. And if that is the walking of the diploma, delivery of speech, and so forth. And Mr. Grell, I thank you so much for listening, because I know you and I have done this a few times. Yes.
Take a breath. Take a breath. Okay?
I will.
Okay. We've listened to what you've said. Okay?
Okay.
You're speaking for a group of parents, as many as you have. I think we've listened to you. I think we've got the email today at 4:45 or whatever it is. It'll go through to the principal, and that's where it'll be. We're not going to be taking a vote tonight to implement part 1, part 2, part 3, because I didn't even print out the email yet, because I had a meeting at 5 o'clock and one at 6 o'clock. So I haven't even seen the email yet that you sent, okay? But in any event, this is what will be handed down to the administration for the review as they review all the requests that come through. I would now like to go back to the agenda. Anybody that has other questions, we'll do them at the completion of the agenda, because I know that you'll want to speak with your questions. So I would go back to section F of the agenda, which is the superintendent's report.
I have concluded my report.
Okay. The business administrator's report.
The only thing I bring to your attention is the number of items that are on the agenda. Those items relate to elements that need to be approved as we proceed into the 2021 fiscal year and for the close of the 1920 fiscal year. Additionally, there is one agenda item that does the approval of the last construction project that we will be taking on this summer, which is a roof replacement at Woodmont.
Thank you. Do we have any committee reports?
We have a curriculum, Charlie.
I'm sorry?
We have curriculum.
All right, well, you want to give your report?
Sure. We met on June 11th and discussed a couple of things. We discussed the approval of the LLD curriculum for grades 6 through 8. We discussed the one book and one school summer reading initiative at Lazar at the high school. This year's books are going to be, for the high school, it's going to be This I Believe, The Personal Philosophies of Remarkable Men and Women. And for Lazar, it's going to be called The Seventh Most Important Thing by Shelley Pearsall. In addition to that, we discussed the 2020 NJSLA standards for several areas, including career readiness, life literacies and key skills, health and physical education, science, social studies, and the arts and world languages. And finally, we did, because it's been a relevant topic, we did discuss classroom resources on racism, discrimination, policy, policing, and protest. We do have a lot of kids that go through the Holocaust and genocide courses. And in addition to that, we're now introducing the criminal history course, which is 4 sections for next year. And in addition to that, the teachers will be getting, additional instruction and enrichment as far as education in these areas.
Thank you, Mike. Any other committee reports?
Charlie, I'll give the Finance Committee report. The Finance Committee met prior to the board meeting tonight. We discussed the end of year financial position of the school district, which is good right now. We also discussed the summer projects that'll be going on. We briefly talked about protocols for reopening in a very rudimentary way. And the new custodial service, Aramark, is getting oriented to the schools.
Thank you, Karen. Any other committee reports? Any delegate reports?
I'll give the NJSBA delegate report just to say that the delegate assembly is June 27th. It'll be virtual. Workshop will be virtual as well. And completes my NJSBA report.
Okay, and I know the school board is working with everybody on this pandemic. Who had a question?
Yeah, MCESC report.
Sure.
So we met on June 10th, and there was reorganization of the board, and the board members are the same as they were last year. We continue to be represented on the ESC board. In addition, because the ESC does not have any taxpayer base, but it gets all of its funding from the member school districts. It did run into some financial issues towards the end of the year. And so there are going to be some furloughs for some teachers, unfortunately, just to make sure that the budget stays whole. 2 things that they are working on. The first is they're looking at UV lighting for schools, and they want to see if they can negotiate with a vendor and get maybe a test set up. For example, putting in certain UV lighting in nurses' offices that can run overnight to disinfect the room. And it might be a way to help all the other schools, if it proves successful, down the road, not just for our current pandemic, but for any other bacteria and germs. Also, they are working with Vira Health to provide PPE for all of the school districts via the purchasing cooperative. So they're working on that to make sure that there would be PPE available in September as needed for all the member school districts. And that's it.
Mike, thank you, especially for that PPE, because that was one of the things that was discussed in the Finance Committee also. So I'm sure Katina will be happy to know that Angelo is also putting together something where we might be able to save money through purchasing. Okay? Thank you, Mike. Any other liaisons, drug awareness? Okay.
Yeah, Charlie, just a reminder that Morris County School Boards is meeting virtually this week. on Thursday, I believe. And the school board will be recognized as becoming a certified school board. So we all should jump on the call if you're available.
Charlie,
Okay.
can I give a high school PTC update? Yeah. So,
right.
just so everyone is aware, the PTC actually has been working hard with the administration at the high school to really help make the event on June 23rd, very special. So they have been working on special events that will happen at the staging area at Lazar. They've, gotten several different decorations and banners, and there will be a lot of different nice photo opportunities, including a stage and different ways for people to take pictures with their graduates while they're waiting to do the processional to the high school. There will be individually wrapped, snacks and beverages for people. There will be music as well. There's going to be music at the high school. So the PTC board has been working on all of that. Very nice. So I just wanted to update that.
Thank you, Michelle. Karen, I just noticed on my calendar, I have another meeting on Thursday. Could you pick up the resolution or the certificate for the Montville since we've achieved the certification for us, please? Hello?
I will certainly express the board's appreciation for the, I won't physically be there, but I'm sure we can arrange to mail it.
Thank you, Karen.
Yep.
Anything else? All right, public participation. It's an opportunity where you may ask questions about anything on the agenda. Do we have any questions about any agenda items? We'll open it up again at the end of the meeting for all the other questions. Any questions on the agenda items?
Two people have their hands up, but they had their hands up during the graduation discussion. So I am assuming that those comments are related to graduation.
Okay. All right, may I have a motion on the agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Any questions on the minutes? Item I. Item J, the financials. Item K. L. M. It's a big, long agenda tonight. And I think we've finished it with M. Okay. Roll call, please, Mr. Slunk.
Mr. Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Cordellino,
Yes.
Mr. Daughtry,
Yes.
Mrs. Fano,
Yes.
Dr. Modrak,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Move on.
Yeah, he's unmuted. I mean, he may have.
Let's move on. Let's move on, continue.
Mr. Rappaport,
Abstain from M.5. Yes to everything else.
Ms. Zuckerman,
I'm staying on I and yes to everything else.
Mr. Grau,
Yes on everything except the bill list. Okay. Next part of our meeting, before we get to petitions and hearings, is there's no need for a closed work session. Old business, do we have any old business of the board? General board comment. I would like to, Renee took a little of my speech away, but I would like to thank the MTEA also for the donation of their signs for the graduation students. They also would again like to thank the healthcare heroes for helping with the pandemic. And I'd like to thank everyone that is helping the town that need help. If there's nothing else, I would now open it. Is there anything else before I open it up to citizens and hearings, petitions and hearings? Okay, we're back on for petitions and hearings about anything now. Can be graduation or anything.
Okay, I would like to recognize Robin Kawadi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
we can.
Hi, I'm going to talk for myself, a lot of the parents, and a lot of the students. And as my son, who's part of the SAC, just walked by hearing part of this, in response to why are we upset because we're stating that there's going to be 3 different graduations, in his word, there's one graduation for everyone every year, and understanding that you're trying to make exceptions. But when we're talking about, it's down to 14 or 8 kids out of 305 or 320 who want to just have the in-person graduation. Fine that parents cannot be there, but you take away from that day stating we're going to have an 11-hour day with 65 cars at a time. The kids are asking you, turn it into a clap out, turn it into, don't call that the graduation. Yes, things are moving and are fluid every day, but we're not being listened to. The kids are not being listened to. They're asking in the letters, they're asking in the phone calls. They're stating they want to be heard. They want their graduation. My son's response was, why? Because there's one graduation every year. Understanding these are unprecedented times. I'm quite aware of that. But you're taking away from that one special day when, yes, you're waiting till July 3rd till the governor says now 500 people can meet. But saying that you're having it a whole day, you could turn on June 23rd, you could turn that into a motorcade like other cars are doing. And those 14 kids who can't attend on July 6th, you could have them get their diplomas on the stage. But it does take away from it. And the kids are asking you, they want to have that one graduation, not an all-day thing on June 23rd and not then following. They're asking you to turn the virtual one, don't have the speeches during that because it takes away from the kids. So are there going to be 2 separate speeches written from the kids? They want to have that one memorable day that every class gets to have year after year. And yes, things have changed and the governor's stating, yes, it hasn't officially been written yet, but come July 3rd, it's supposed to change so we could have it on July 6th. You know, these kids deserve it. And they're asking you, not just from the parents who are asking you, yes, we've sent tons of emails. We've made tons of phone calls, but we're asking you now to listen to the students, not just the 14 kids who can't be there on July 6th. They're asking you just to modify the plans. They're not telling you to scrap everything. They're just asking you, turn it around, turn it into a motorcade like it was. And again, those kids who cannot be there on July 6th, let them walk across the stage and get their diploma that day. We're just asking you to listen to the kids and understanding it's not that far off. The 23rd is only 7 days away, but these things have been changing. And unfortunately, you know, we're still going to ask them. We just feel like, and as well as the kids, they're not being listened to.
Okay, I think we got your point, and I think this is quite a few of the speakers before you were saying the same thing. And I know the administration will look at the email that we got today and evaluate it. Okay, next question.
Can I just say one last thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say one last thing. And I kind of take offense that before this meeting started and what was not in the minutes, and I know that you guys did not think that we could hear it, but we were able to hear the comments that were being made, that there are parents who are attending this who never attended before and will not attend again there after graduation is done. And we kind of clearly heard it at the beginning. And I truly, as one of those parents who heard it being said, do take offense to that. And I just had to put that out there. Kind of was biting my tongue from saying it, but I take offense that that was mentioned at the beginning before this meeting actually started.
I don't know where you heard that from, but you didn't hear it from me.
I didn't say I heard it from you, and I'm not saying who I heard it from, but we all clearly heard it.
Well, I'm sorry, and I apologize on behalf of the board if it was any board members that said that. Next.
We're gonna try third time, Mrs. Gilmore.
Okay, let's go.
Can you hear me now?
Mrs. Gilmore, you have the floor.
Well, I'm so sorry. I had to log in from my son's computer, but listen, everything has been said, but not everyone has said it. So I'm going to try to really just summarize kind of what this journey has looked like for me. We have all been working together over the past several weeks, really agonizing, trying to deliver for these kids this traditional outdoor ceremony. And, you know, I don't know how we got to this place where we're now in the absurd situation of having 3 ceremonies. I'm not sure if we oversolved the problem. Maybe that's it. But we're basically at a place right now where our contingency plan has become our plan, and our plan has become our contingency. So I'm not going to reiterate everything that everyone said, but I want to really put an exclamation point on the fact that what you are hearing from, and Dr. Robitar, I know you've heard this firsthand from the students through student council meetings. You know, they think the world of Mr. Sanford. This is a really big deal for them to feel like they're challenging him. They are so appreciative, not only of what he's been doing in the past several weeks, but over the 4 years. So when you hear these students who normally would never dream of questioning a direction given to them, coming together and making a passion plea, they made the hard decision, the unpopular decision of graduating as a class outdoors without parents. But now they wanted to flip and say, but we need to be all inclusive to the desires of our classmates. And we need to strike a compromise. We don't want to dismiss the hard work that Mr. Sanford and the assistant principals have put into us. They fully recognize it. And as leaders, I applaud their courage, because this is a difficult situation for a young person to be in. And to find that middle ground and say, Mr. Sanford, Board of Ed, Dr. Robitar, all we're looking for is to have the virtual as planned, but take those student speeches out. Let that be part of the goal ceremony of the outdoor ceremony. And for the motorcade, if there are classmates that need to be accommodated, there's a way to do that within the motorcade. But turn it into a celebratory clap out parade. And I dare you, I dare say to you, I think parents would get just as much about that. I am not hearing a single parent say to me, I can't wait for that moment where I peer out the car window and see my child walk across the stage. That's not what parents are focused on. They'll probably get more out of a live feed of the in-person, I know I personally will, than peering out a car window. So it's very simple. These are little changes around the edges. These are not things that are going to turn us all as a community topsy-turvy. We preserve the plan. We make minor changes around the edge, but most of all, we stick to the shared goal that we all had to give these kids a modified in-person graduation as close to as possible as the tradition. And the tradition is with your classmates, walking across the stage, pomp and circumstance, getting your diploma, and hearing your farewell speeches from your class officers and honorees. That's all I have to say. I thank you again. And I will be here after my son graduates. I will stay involved in this community. It's too important to not be involved.
Thank you, Mrs. Gilman.
You're welcome.
I would recognize Joe.
Hello?
Well, you're identified as Joe, so you have the floor.
It's Yvonne Nizzi. How are you? I just wanted to ask Mr. Sanford, there was a food delivery that we were going to arrange for the seniors on Friday, and it was dismissed, and I was wondering why it was dismissed.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
So the idea was proposed by a parent, a member of the community. Conversations were had with Pumptoni, our food service provider. That type of event would be subsidized by funds from the senior class account. So when I brought it back to the senior class officers to see if they were interested in it, they ultimately decided they didn't want to pursue it. They didn't see it as a viable event that the majority of the senior class would appreciate. So that's ultimately how the plan basically was dismissed.
Did they ask the seniors, did they take it to a vote?
I can't vouch for whether they did that or not.
Okay, we'll find out. Thank you.
Renee, we're going to take a couple more, then we're going to.
That's all we have right now. That's it. You have heard all the folks that wish to speak. Oh, I'm sorry. Take it back. Mrs. Arena.
That's my night.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So first of all, I wanted to address the awards night that just happened this week, and I wanted to thank the high school administration and the IT department and everyone who worked so hard to do the virtual award ceremony, because I don't know how many of the members of the board watched it, but it was incredible. It was really, really well done under the circumstances. And I think that the district should be proud at how we handled this under the circumstances. So I just wanted to say thank you for that, because I know a lot of work went into it and a lot of rehearsals. And I also just want to say that we as a family appreciate everything that the administration and you and the board are doing on behalf of these kids. And we are just looking forward to all the events that are coming in this coming week. And we're just excited for the kids to graduate. And we know that there's a lot of work going into it. And we're thankful for the PTC for stepping up and helping to decorate. And we just are very thankful. And that's really all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Arena, for your comments. And yes, the senior awards was very, very nicely done. Very nicely done. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming. The next events we have scheduled are naturally of all senior parents have all of the events given to you by the high school administration, whether it's putting fingerprints on ceiling tiles like I saw the kids doing yesterday and today, or cleaning out lockers or getting yearbooks. I want to thank you, and I will hopefully see you at next week and on July 6th. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn, please. Wait, are there any board members that would like to say anything else? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Sanford, Dr. Rotar. Mrs.
Welcome.
Blunt. Okay,